Hello, hello. This is Tyson Farmer from TysonFarmer.com with a video exploring the pros and cons of online versus in-person music lessons. This video is great for adult students and parents of children who are thinking of shopping around for an online music teacher and will hopefully help inform you of all your options. First off, why should you take lessons at all? Especially with today's online resources, a self-motivated learner can take themselves pretty far. And if you're self-motivated and focused enough, you might even find you don't really need a teacher at all to get you where you want to go. The same can be said, however, about getting into the gym and getting in shape. If you are self-motivated enough, you can accomplish a lot on your own. But if you want to progress faster and reach your goals sooner, you could hire a personal trainer to fast track you straight to your personal goals and push you further than you might be able to do on your own. The same goes for teaching yourself to play an instrument or sing. An instructor will take you further and faster with focused learning, exercises, and practice than you might be able to go on your own. And no matter how self-motivated and focused you are, there are no website articles, instructional books, DVDs, or YouTube videos that can answer your personal questions as they come up. That's why I encourage you to think of a music teacher as being a musical personal trainer in addition to being an instructor. That's what you're investing in when you pay a teacher like me to coach you. Also, unless you have access to a bigger community of more experienced musicians to helpfully notice and point out any of the things you were doing wrong, it's easy to unknowingly get into ingrained bad habits that can be a royal pain in the butt to go back to square one and undo once you realize they become a problem. And once you get to a certain level past the basics, there are often many important advanced concepts you may not even know about yet that can be extremely helpful for your further development. A community of advanced musicians can potentially point these options out to you, but a teacher can quickly assess your skill level in any music lesson and tell you about these things right when it's time for you to get the most benefit out of them. I've been teaching online lessons exclusively since 2018, but before this I taught in-person lessons for over 30 years in various music stores and even out of my own house. I know what it's like on both sides of that fence, so I'm going to run down the pros and cons of online lessons for you so you have a better sense of your options within the bigger picture. So first, the pros of online lessons. One of the biggest benefits students love about online lessons is not having to worry about gas, traffic, scheduling the entire day around the commute, and other travel hassles. But when you're already at home, you can be ready within 5 minutes for the lesson, drop what you're doing to attend, then immediately get right back to what you were doing when the lesson is over. This is actually one of my personal favorite perks about teaching online lessons. I can grab lunch in my own kitchen, do the dishes, fold some laundry, mow the lawn, walk the dog, and a lot of other things before, after, and even in between lessons, all without having to worry about getting in my car to go to a music store to teach. So many students find that an awesome bonus of a good online lesson can be signing off, looking around them in their own home, and realizing they can get right back into their routine. So online lessons are great for very busy people who need to knock it out and get back to their lives. Now, obviously, if you work, run errands, pick up your son or daughter from school, or even just have a conveniently timed lunch break right by a music store, then that might end up being a better choice for you instead. So geography is an important factor here, and your choice sometimes just comes down to how far you're willing to drive. That being said, some people who live right near a music store still prefer the online lesson anyway for the obvious in-home convenience and privacy factors. Speaking of geography, online lessons are also great for people who live out in the boonies or nowhere near a music store or other teaching facility. I have even taught music lessons to students using their laptops from their hotel room or local library conference room in the middle of a cross-country road trip. And I have even taught students myself from an Airbnb while I was in Mexico on vacation. However, you don't have to live in Alaska or be on the road to value these benefits. Online lessons also give you a lot of choices for teachers with unique methods or skills that would otherwise be completely out of reach for you. In other words, you can live in Arizona and take lessons from a jazz piano teacher in New York. Or you can even live in New York and take lessons from a bluegrass banjo teacher in Nashville. Another factor is that you're more receptive to learning when you're in a relaxed state of mind. Just being in their own home space makes many people a lot more comfortable during music lessons, and thus, in a mind space that's more conducive to learning. I've even taught students who are so comfortable in their own home space that they take lessons in their pajamas. If you're feeling under the weather or don't want to get anyone else sick, but you are otherwise functional, you usually have to cancel lessons in a music store anyway. But online lessons are great for this since you're already safely quarantined at home. In fact, online lessons are even great for when you just don't really feel much like going out that day. As an online teacher, I have resources available that are impossible for me to have in face-to-face lessons. This allows me to give students more robust options and choices in the lesson experience. Some examples. In online lessons, I can use multiple camera angles that wouldn't be possible or comfortable in a face-to-face lesson, without invading my personal space anyway. I can share my desktop audio and video for music, videos, and real-time editing of music documents all on one screen. As an online teacher, I have all my own music gear at my disposal that would otherwise be impossible to carry with me to a music store every day. My banjo, ukulele, piano, electric, classical, and acoustic guitars, and all my different varieties of guitar slides, picks, capos, tuners, and an endless list of other little accessories are all at my fingertips during online lessons because I teach out of my own music room. This means I can provide students with more choices during the lessons. I can teach any topic within my reach and expertise. I've even taught half a lesson of piano and half a lesson of guitar, or even half ukulele and half voice lessons to online students who wanted to learn on more than one instrument. Most online lessons can be video recorded with downloadable links, so you can have access to any recorded lesson you take for review whenever you feel like it. If a teacher is open to it, just like with an online group office meeting, you can have an online group lesson along with another person, or even several people you know who are far away from you. This can be fun for family or close friends who are geographically far away, but want to have some fun bonding time over learning an instrument together. But with in-person lessons, there are only so many people you can comfortably cram into a teaching room. A teacher at a music store is often limited to the payment options and teaching policies that store has in place as a business. Some music stores' computer systems are set up to prevent them from pre-scheduling a student unless that student is already paid in full. So even if there's a good customer relationship there, even the store manager is locked out from doing anything about it. However, as an online teacher, I can set my own schedule, rates, and discount options, and can even give out free lessons and personalized discounts to whoever I want whenever I feel like it, since I'm the one that sets those things up. For example, if a student or parent recommends another student to me who ends up signing up for lessons, I like to give them a free half-hour lesson as a thank you and incentive. Setting that up was always a lot more of a hassle when I had to go through any music store's complicated payment and scheduling system. However, with my online lessons, I have all the power over my own schedule, so I just mark it in my schedule and I'm done. Okay, we've talked about some of the pros of online lessons, but there are also some downsides you should be aware of. With online technology available to anyone who has the willingness to teach, the online teaching market has become a bit oversaturated, and teaching quality can potentially be all over the place. So you have to shop around a little more than usual. Now, most bigger online lesson provider websites will vet their teachers first with a background check and require a decent resume and teaching history. But otherwise, just about anyone can start teaching online if they market themselves well enough. For example, to become a teacher on the online teaching platform LessonFace, I had to go through a thorough background check that included submitting a resume of my teaching experience, attending an online meet and greet session with a member of hiring staff, and even a check of the U.S. Sex Offender Registry before I could be onboarded. So I can assure any parent from personal experience that they can choose a teacher on that platform with a pretty high degree of confidence. However, if a teacher has a lot of face-to-face teaching experience, that doesn't necessarily mean they are good at teaching lessons online. If they are completely new to the online teaching platform, the lessons they offer might be of slightly lower quality at first until they get more online experience. Just learning how to deal with the technology involved and all the technical problems that can come up is a bit of a learning curve for any teacher at first. It certainly was for me. This is why I recommend, even with online sites that vet their teachers, you should definitely lean in favor of teachers who offer free demo lessons. This gives you the power of choice in a way that is much easier to navigate than hopping from teacher to teacher in a music store while you try them out. In an online lesson, some hyperactive or more easily distracted younger students are a little harder to wrangle in, even sometimes necessitating an adult being there in the room to keep them on focus, since most kids figure out pretty quickly that there's not much a teacher can do from the other side of a computer screen to prevent them from goofing off. This can be a little more frustrating to deal with online than in an in-person lesson, where most rambunctious kids will usually be on better behavior. Usually. An online teacher obviously can't physically reach across and manipulate your hand to the proper position while online, so they have to resort to different camera angles and more descriptive language to get it right. A teacher with a good history of online experience shouldn't have much problem with this, however. It's just a different communication skill. Online lessons can be interrupted by online problems. For example, if you're having internet connection problems, this can slow a lesson down or even stop it in its tracks. Any decent online teacher should take this into account and credit a lesson that was unteachable due to technical problems. So having a decent internet connection is important here. One thing I can definitely suggest is an ideal scenario, though. If possible, physically plug your computer or laptop directly to your modem with an actual Ethernet cable. Wi-Fi is convenient and good enough for most internet needs, but in online video calls, you may experience annoying and repeated dropouts if this is your only internet connection option, especially if your Wi-Fi router is on the other side of the house. Sometimes doing online lessons in your home space can provide more distractions than a lesson room in a music store. That's why it's important to have an isolated and quiet space that you can take lessons in, without the family dog, siblings, significant others, or other noises of everyday life to distract you or your child during the lesson. And finally, some people just prefer taking lessons in person for reasons they can't really explain, and they don't really need to. Sometimes it just comes down to a personal preference. However, I highly recommend that you do try out at least one online demo lesson before you're completely sure whether or not you fit into this category. Although I've had previous face-to-face students who tried it and weren't into it, I've also had many students who were absolutely convinced online lessons were definitely not for them, only to completely change their minds once they had an online demo lesson and experienced the upsides. Okay, now that we've talked about the pros and cons of online lessons, what should you look for when you're shopping for a music teacher? These tips should apply to shopping for both in-person and online music teachers. First, what are their credentials and music history? How long have they been teaching? Are they versed in a wide variety of styles? What age ranges are they comfortable teaching? If they have a website or have posted a list of credentials that you can easily access, this will answer most of these questions quickly. Also, if they have one, check out a potential teacher's YouTube channel to watch their videos and see if you like their teaching style. Keep in mind that this shouldn't be a deal breaker for a good teacher, though, especially an older one who may or may not have as much YouTube and video editing experience as the younger generation, but is otherwise an excellent and competent teacher. However, it can definitely help inform your decision if it's an option. Do they speak your language? Some people are visual learners and work best with a teacher who can show them diagrams and pictures. Other people are audio learners and need to hear it to get it. It's important to shop around for a teacher who can get the information across to you in a way that is easiest for you to digest, as opposed to you constantly struggling to understand what they're teaching when they don't speak in your learning style. And most importantly, the personal factors. You don't have to be best friends with your music teacher, but the more you get along with them personally, the faster you'll learn and grow. So, do you think you or your child have a potential chemistry with a teacher? Are they familiar with the music you're into? Are lessons with them engaging and make you even more excited to learn, even if the work is hard? Most of these questions can be answered by taking a free demo lesson with them and checking in with yourself or your child afterwards and just following your gut. And finally, the money side of things. Are prices clear and payments easy to make? With a reputable online lessons provider website, this should be easy to find on their website payments page and should not really be a problem. But even with a private teacher, it should be clear how much you're paying and how it is done. A private teacher nowadays can provide payment options through Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, and other easy payment services. Keep in mind that many teachers will ask for payment for the full month of 4 lessons before the lessons begin. Don't worry, this is a pretty common practice with most reputable private teachers in both online and in-person lessons. If they're well recommended and you feel comfortable with this, paying on the honor system is just fine. Obviously, be careful about sending a teacher that you don't know much about a large amount of money before teaching services are even rendered, unless they have come recommended from someone you know, or at least until you have worked with them long enough to feel good about that. If you're not sure, see if they're okay with you paying lesson by lesson after each lesson is finished for, say, the first month or so of teaching, and tell them it's a timing thing with how you get paid. You can always tell them that your financial circumstances have changed once you get a good feel for how they work. But remember, they also don't know you either and are most likely testing you out for trustworthiness as well. Many private teachers have gotten burned by teaching a lesson but never getting paid for it afterwards, so trust goes both ways in the private instruction world. Okay, that was a lot of information and probably brought up even more questions than you started with. But I hope it helps you get a bigger picture for your options in deciding whether to take online or in-person lessons. I've tried to give you as much information as I could think of to give you all the angles, but at the end of the day, only you can decide which lesson platform is best for you. Either way, I recommend that you try at least one free demo lesson in each style so you can make more of an informed decision. This is Tyson Farmer from TysonFarmer.com. If you want to dive deeper into music theory concepts, or even just improve your technique, speed, and song playing chops, check out my online teaching profile using my link below. Stay motivated and keep playing. Okay, that was perfect. I was finding it hard to keep Mutton from laughing. Especially when you